Welcome to Awakened Titans podcast with Lily Patrascu, mind-blowing conversations with influential business titans sharing how you can manifest abundance, love, joy, success through quantum awakening, quantum manifestation, quantum healing, quantum miracles, exponential business growth, and innovative products and services. Discover how to create passive income with multifamily property investing in today's session with Vlad Arakcheyev. Vlad is a New Jersey-based multifamily investor and real estate agent who started a privately held company, Zontic Ventures, to achieve financial independence for his family and his investors. He now owns hundreds of units, primarily in the Midwest and Sunbelt markets of the United States, with the goal to have 25,000 units. His personal goal is also to open and operate an animal rescue farm by 2027. First question is, what's the secret to your success?
You know what? Everyone has to have a goal. And by the way, thank you so much for having me on your show. And I was just kind of taken back by the question. But yeah, everybody's supposed to have some sort of a goal. It's not just a money thing. There's got to be something else out there. So for me, everything kind of started during COVID. And I rock bottom where I had a different job. I was a graphic designer and I got furloughed and there was no work at all. And of course, I have family, I have 2 children, mortgage and everything like most people do, 3 cats. And then, I'm thinking, what can we do to not rely on just active income all the time? There's got to be something out there, right? Because I don't want to go through it again. And stuff like that happens all the time in any sector, in any market cycle. So that's where it took me to a path of real estate, where I started selling real estate here locally in New Jersey, being a real estate agent. And that slowly took me to fixing and flipping. And then I was buying single families here in New Jersey as well. And then I shortly realized that I can't really scale as fast as I want to. So that's where the multifamily comes in, after conferences and speaking with people. So that's how, that's my passion. I don't want to be in that place again where, I'm powerless, basically, because I want to have control. And that's my why, to just, I don't want to go through it again. It was bad. It was really bad.
Thank you. How did you awaken to your titanic power? So much so that you had the courage to start this passive multifamily property investing.
You know what it is? It's I awakened, but my wife, she's very, very supportive. She kicked my behind and she said, "Hey, listen, let's get moving on this, because I believe of your family is huge, and you're not going to get support all the time. You just got to overcome this, right? You just got to, and it's not that you have to try, you really have to do. And it's really, really difficult to be out of your comfort zone and do something that you've never done before, because I never done this. So you're comfortable sitting on a couch and just chilling or doing whatever you've done before, but this is just completely out of the norm, right? So I'm thinking, let's try it. And then I was failing because I was just trying. And if you really want success, you have to put everything into it. You got to fly to conferences. You got to network all the time. You got to be out there as much as possible. You got to underwrite. You got to connect with people. It's really, really hard work. So don't think that you're going to get into the space and you're going to make tons of money, because it's not how it works. Honestly, for the first 3 years, you almost see money, because most of the money is invested in properties and they're kind of working for you behind the scenes. Right. So that's the biggest thing, the drive, mindset, and being around people that do this and not giving up.
Thank you. Tell us about some of your biggest achievements and successes related to multifamily property investing, whether it's for you, for your students, for your family.
Yeah, well, the very, very first deal was actually 200 units. It was a syndication in San Antonio, because even though I do live in New Jersey, I buy in Midwest. primarily in Kansas City. I also buy in DFW. At the time, I used to buy in San Antonio and Houston, not anymore due to insurance and other factors. And now we're buying in the Carolinas. So I buy there. And like I said, the first deal, you don't have to go small. You just have to connect with people that know how to do this, right? And provide some sort of value to them. It's not just buying like a duplex or something like that, or like, and slowly moving up. You can just go up like a lot. I know a person, he connected with the right people, provided all this value, and now he's doing huge hotel to apartment conversions, like 400 doors, right? So, and he's new in the space. So you don't have to start small. You don't have to build up small. You just got to know people that can help you to elevate yourself. So that's the most important. It's who, not how, just like the book says.
Thank you. What drew you to passive property investment versus active property investment?
Well, I did both. In the beginning, I wanted to say, let me try it out and see how that works. So I tried it, and it worked out well. I joined the mastermind, right? After that, I wanted to be a GP or a general partner in all my deals. So in most of the deals, I have a limited partner portion and a general partner portion, because, you know, you got to put some skin in the game and, you know, be involved, of course, in all of the projects. It's not just getting money from the investors or, you know, the lenders or whatever. So since I learned and I know how to operate a business, basically, through mastermind, through experience, speaking with people, connecting with the right people, as of now, I prefer the GP route because I learn more. I get to do asset management as well. I have the control. And at the same time, it's difficult to find the operator, right? So you need time, let's say 8 months, right? To vet a good person. Once you find a great team with teams that you work with, just stick with them. Don't be just swapping all the time, because that leads to nowhere, right? You have to stay within the team that you know, and if you trust an operator, then that's when the real success happens.
Thank you. What is your strategy for identifying profitable investments?
Oh, there's a lot. There's really a lot of strategies. Right now, what we'll like before we were doing a lot of value add-on, right? So it was like seek with a lot of value being added into the buildings. But now, if you look at the market cycle, it changed, right? So I believe we bottomed out. So now everything is kind of on an upswing. So C class versus B class, it just doesn't make sense anymore. So why would I buy 1970s product and get pretty much the same return or result as in B class buildings? So we moved up and we're buying A and B class buildings in very good areas, because the lift itself is lighter. You have all this plumbing and electrical issues with all the buildings. It's just a total pain. So you can, if you find a great deal, but ultimately what we found is that B class or A class buildings are just cash flowing much better. And also they're more appealing to investors, because ultimately, if you buying something, you have to think who's going to invest in the project with us, right? So if you're buying something that's beat up, you have to convince people to kind of like, hey, listen, just picture the vision, right, of what's there now. But if you buy a beautiful, big, great area, people kind of see it and they really do appreciate the hard work. So it's areas with growth, with a lot of opportunity. We also track where the people are moving to, right? Of course, they have to be landlord-friendly states, business states. I invest in primarily, like I mentioned, red states, where they welcome businesses, there's tax breaks and things like that. And of course, it's great for a landlord just own properties there. Like, I don't invest anything in New Jersey. If you want to buy a house, I can sell you one, but no investing in Jersey for me.
Thank you. What size, unit count, and type of multifamily properties do you typically invest in?
Yeah, it varies. Like for example, the largest I've done was 400 units. It was several teams got together. It was a big, big operation. We're still running it. The one before that was 100 units in Kansas City. Very, very nice. It's a beautiful B building. I mean, it's just gorgeous. I've done as low as 40, and they worked out great. And the one before that was actually it's unique. We purchased 24 single family houses, like a small community. But the cool thing about that is they all individually deeded, right? So we can, if we need more money, we can sell a few and leave the rest for ourselves, right? Just kind of give you an example. And also, you can put long-term rentals, short-term rentals, so you can convert and test the waters. So we try to go for 40 and up. It's kind of a sweet spot there, but we are open, and we've done before as low as 20. But this is, like I said, this is just a situation. We also have student housing, for example. Those are like 48. So I try to be within that 40 to 150 range. I believe it's because anything above, you kind of competing with the big boys, with the big guns, and anything below that, it just kind of doesn't make sense. So anything with that range is works for us.
Thank you. How does the experience vary in terms of investing in multifamily property investing?
Yeah, it's huge. Experience is everything, because when you're gonna start, that's what people ask you first. They don't ask you, stuff about the building. They ask you about you, right? So what type of experience do you have? And that's a lot of people say, so what did you do? How many exits do you have? How many doors do you have? Well, in the beginning, you have nothing, right? Because you just started. So what you do is you leverage your team, right? So if you connect with a strong team and they're willing to take you kind of as your, I don't know, protege, if that's the right word, and give you a chance, you can leverage them. So that's really important. And as you build momentum, build and buying more properties, now you can use the team and say, for example, like our experiences in our cases over 25 years. That's exactly how that works. So you leverage the team. That's why in multifamily, team is incredibly important. In single family space, you can do it by yourself. You can even self-manage. That's fine. But when it comes to multifamily, the team comes, it's number one. Because just think about it this way. I live in New Jersey and I buy in Kansas City. How can I possibly manage this remotely, right? So we have a team there that actually is boots on the ground, that takes looks at the properties and everything. Now we're vertically in that space as well. So it's really important to get the right team and don't rush on the team aspect. Don't just go like on Facebook or on social media and say, oh, wow, look, yeah, let's connect and let's buy things together. No, that's not how it works. It's literally like, right? So let's say we buy a building, hold it for 5 years, because that's the typical hold time. You have to see that person for 5 years. So if you don't know them or you don't trust them, how do you think that project is going to be, running within the 5-year span? I mean, most deals fail not because of the project, but because of the operators. So it's really important not to rush and get into the right team.
Thank you. How does it feel to be part of a project like this?
The very first time, it was just amazing, because when you stocks or something like that, you kind of just go you click buy, and let's say bought some Apple stock, and you see a little number changed, and you owe you have like 1 share of Apple, right? And but there's no satisfaction there, right? You can't, because it's just a number in a computer. The first time I purchased a building, I actually flew out there. I woke up to it and I couldn't believe it. Even though you're, let's say, 20% owner, 30% owner, it doesn't matter, you're an owner, you can physically touch it. And I actually came up to mine and I hugged it. And I'm like, I can't believe I own this. The feeling is amazing, because it took me 8 months to educate myself, to find the right partners, to underwrite hundreds and hundreds of deals to get into one. So the amount of work that you're putting in and seeing no money or no results, it can be discouraging, and it is. But the mindset and everything and working on yourself is incredibly important. So when I, bought it, or we bought it, I should say, I literally hugged the building, and it was an incredible experience. And I say to all my investors, even passive investors, I'm like, guys, you invested in this building, you can fly out there, you can touch it, and that's yours. It's just there. It's not going to go anywhere, right? It's not like a number on a computer. So the feeling is incredible that it's just, you see it and you're like, wow, I can't believe this. It's really powerful.
Thank you. How do you diversify your portfolio to manage risk?
Yeah. So what we do is, like I mentioned, we buy in 3 different areas, right? We buy in Kansas City, the Carolinas. We also buy in DFW. Those are the 3. And also what we do is they're different sizes. Like, for example, in Kansas City, it's workforce housing, right? You have in the Carolinas, we have student housing. Right, so student housing is always booming. So one can shift down a little bit, another one's going to bring it up, right? And then also we have long-term and mid-term rentals in the Carolina as well, catering to traveling nurses, for example, right? Because a lot of that was needed at the time during COVID, and it's always needed actually if you think about it. So we don't have a REIT or anything like that, but or a fund, we go project by project because I want to know where my money is going to. And my investors want to know the same thing. Like, I have an investor calling me and he goes, I would like to invest in the Carolinas. And I'm like, I don't have anything in the Carolinas now. Everything is done. We finished everything. And they're like, well, when you have a deal in the Carolinas, give me a call. I'll invest with you. I'm like, I have a great deal in Kansas City. They're like, no, I don't care. I want Carolina. So they need, in my case or my experience, this type of control, whether I prefer that area, for example. So that's what we do. We kind of spread around the Midwest, Sunbelt market, and at the same time, different areas and different sizes. So if you can call diversification, yeah, it's not true diversification, but you know what I mean. That's what we kind of focus on.
What factors do you consider most important when evaluating a multifamily property investing deal?
Yeah, I would say growth, because I'll give you an example. Let's stick with Texas, for example. Everybody knows Texas is very land friendly. There's a lot of movement in Texas. If I'm not mistaken, I think like over 50 Fortune 500 companies moved their headquarters down to Texas, right? I think the Dallas area. Then you have all these manufacturing and factories coming from California. Musk is talking about moving his headquarters down to Texas as well. So you see the path of progress. You see where people are moving to, right? So that's where we want to be. So if you see everybody's coming to Dallas, for example, and it's growing so rapidly, like let's look at Kansas City. Build $3 billion airport. I think it's 3, and now it's more probably. They built this huge soccer stadium, right? They're going to have, the World Cup there as well. You have the Chiefs are doing great. So you see the city is booming. And also, if you visit Kansas City, for example, all you see is cranes, construction, because the city is growing, and that's where we want to be, right? So few people invest in corridors. So let's say let's look at Carolinas, right? You have 2 cities and they're large. They invest right in between them because that's where the movement of people is, right between those 2 large cities. So I typically don't look at that. I look in a large city itself. We need population growth, we need security, and we need jobs. That's what's the most important thing. And also, you have to make sure that people's salaries can support the rent. That's huge as well. Because if you're gonna buy and hike up the rents to, let's say, $2,000, and people are receiving, I don't know, $3,000 rent, they're not going to rent from you. They just have no money. So there's a lot of factors that are like important to identify. So that we kind of look at that. I look at growth primarily and where jobs are moving to.
How do you conduct due diligence on potential multifamily investing projects?
Yeah, due diligence. It's funny where you literally have to be there. You have to work. So get your contractor, get your property manager, get their property manager, and start walking it and asking all types of questions. And no question is a dumb question. The first time I was walking, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to be embarrassed. And then somebody goes like, well, what about this tree? And I'm like, tree? They're asking about tree? Well, apparently the roots of the trees can damage foundation if the trees are too close to the building. So they actually were asking how much to remove trees because there's a potential hazard there. So after that, I kind of learned no question is a dumb question, right? So like, for example, or even looking in electrical crawl spaces or like electrical panels and stuff like that, because on one of the projects we found that even though the seller said that all the wiring is copper, and we spot checked. Instead of spot checking, we should have checked everything. So we found aluminum and copper, which is a no-go. So the whole project kind of stalled until we figure out a solution because, you just literally have to walk it and take pictures like every unit. And what's the important thing, and a lot of people kind of miss that, ask the people that live there, the tenants, what do they think? Do they see any problems? Because they are literally there 24/7. They see everything. If there's flooding, they know. If there's something not working, they know. If there's like water dripping, they would know. So ask tenants, say, hey, listen, we're thinking of buying. So what would you change about this building? So it's really important to have the right boots on the ground and people who you trust and just get the whole team together and just walk it. Yeah, there's like a whole, I don't know, like 10-page script of questions and things like that you should be kind of looking for, but you kind of just feel it out eventually and you know what to look for. So it's a lot of fun. It's really a lot of fun.
Thank you. I've done a lot of property projects in the past, and I noticed that there's always something unexpected that happens.
Yeah.
How do you prevent that from happening?
Oh, you know what? You can't really prevent it. You budget for it. Because what happened is, if you already kind of know what can possibly go, due to the age and the example, like if we were buying a building, and one of the corners of the building was potentially settling or sinking, so we budgeted for that. And of course, we asked a contractor to fix it for us and how much it's going to be. But still, the fix was not enough. So we have a healthy reserve, right? Just in case something like that happens. We literally just leave a larger cushion of money. One thing that we noticed is a really funny story. So in one of the buildings, suddenly the tenants were telling us there's no hot water. And we're like, oh my gosh, how can that be? So we go in the basement and the water is like super hot coming out of the faucet. It's like scalding water. We go, it's hot. We get a call a week later. No, it's cold water. Like, how can that be? We call an electrician. We change the whole water heating system. Everything. Still the same thing, cold water. We don't know what's happening. We called a plumber. So he's fixing it for like 5 hours. He doesn't know because this is coming out and they're complaining it's cold. So he's just sitting in the corner and thinking quietly. And then check out what happened. There's a motion activated light switch, right? And it turns off because the guy was just sitting there and not moving. And the electricity went out. And guess what? That water heater was connected to that activated motion switch. And he hears the hot water just goes, just comes down and cold water comes out. So you see, this stuff you can't really foresee. So he's like, oh my gosh, who wired this thing where the hot water system was wired to the motion detection switch? Isn't that completely crazy? Like, you can't really, foresee it, but you have to budget for it. So it's really important to have a healthy budget. Don't just have, I would say, a month or 2 months. We have 9 months of reserves just sitting there because you never know.
Thank you. How do you find and evaluate potential property investors to become part of your project?
Number one thing is we have a lot of 506B, which is you can't really advertise. It's for sophisticated investors that are within your circle. So it's just relationships. It's going to networking events. It's going and speaking with people, doing presentations, writing books like we have written one, doing podcasts. We've done about 70 so far, and just spreading the word of benefits of investing in real estate. So, and eventually you just create a relationship with people, trust you, invest with you, right? It's not the project. It's not the horse that they're investing in. It's with you, right? Because you're running it. You're the business owner. They trust you ultimately. Few other projects that we've done with 506C, and you can advertise. That's for everyone to see. There you have to just careful, and it's a conversation, right? Like, they interviewing us, but at the same time we're interviewing them to make sure that it's not the last savings that they're investing in a project. Because if you just have 50 or 75,000 left and no other reserves, no other cushion, you shouldn't be investing, all your savings into a project. Have some sort of, I would say savings, just in case. Because don't forget, one thing about real estate is that you're not liquid. If you invest in a project, you're in it for 5 years. Can you get your money out? Technically, yes. But don't think that you'll be able to just move the money out so quickly. You're in it for 5 years. So if something happens, you have to make sure that you have enough money to live on. You never know. You might lose a job, or you need extra expense or something like that. So it's a conversation. It's literally a conversation. There is nothing about it. You can write out newsletters and do all kinds of stuff. But I noticed people, who invest with you, that just like you as a person, that you go and you meet them, say hello, and don't talk about business. Talk about them. Ask about their kids, their dogs, how they, what do they like? Do they like wine? Like I drink, wine, right? I have a motorcycle, so we click on that thing. So like, oh, you ride a motorcycle? Oh yeah, me too. Where do you ride? Stuff like that. So it's just a conversation between friends, basically.
How hands-off is the project once invested in?
Well, for limited partners, it's very much hands-off because they're limited partners. So they are more than welcome to, of course, read all the material and everything that we put out every single month. They're more than happy to ask any questions, but a lot of them are very much hands-off because they're doctors. For example, they just don't have the time, but they call us from time to time. For an operator, though, there's no thing as hands-off, because when you buy it, you think that's the difficult part. It's not. Running it for 5 years, that's the hard part. Like, I'll give you an example. For the last month, we've been auditing property management, right? And it's such a pain because you literally look at the receipts and look at the spreadsheet, and you're just comparing the numbers. So it's really hard work. It's a full-time job, literally a full-time job. So just think about this as you're not buying a building, you're buying a business. You're running and operating a business for 5 years. So what do you think business people just sit there and do nothing? No, they work, instead of 8 hours, they work for 14 hours in order to make it successful. So it's the same thing here. In order to make the most money for your investors, and of course for yourself, you have to put in a lot of hours. So that's where the stroke team comes in, and if you a partner, a general partner, yeah, you have to put in hours, like early, going to bed late, plus this conferences, other events and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty much hands-on for me. Yeah.
Thank you. What are the returns on investment?
Well, it depends on the market cycle too. If you look at a few years ago, the returns were much higher because everything was just shooting up. We know people that got 30%, right? And they got it in shorter amount of time. It was just like I said, it was a different market cycle. Now, and of course the cap rates, everything was compressed. Now, opening up and you see price adjustments and of course, there's insurance issues and stuff like that that mess up with the cash flow. And of course, there's higher rates. So the rates are coming down, by the way. As of September of 2024, the rates are coming down, like conventional and agencies coming down. But that's eating into the cash flow. So you're going to have to compensate for that. So our typical return is 2x equity multiple. That's what we kind of shoot for. You're going to double your money by exit, or about 20%. That's what that's our target. We typically on all previous projects beat that target and went over it. We never had a capital call. We never had any projects that failed, but all like lingered or anything like that. All the projects are successful as of now. The most important thing is to buy right and operate right. Don't rush. Don't just because a lot of people they're like, oh my God, look at that, let's buy it, without thinking, we're gonna adjust later, we're gonna get the team later. No. Get the team in first, get the money in together, get all systems in place, and then go and buy it. Not the other way around. You've probably heard this phrase: when you find a great project, the money is going to come. No, that doesn't work whatsoever. So it's really important to have the team first, and then you just kind of go after the projects.
Thank you. What are the biggest risks associated with multifamily property investing, and how did you mitigate them?
Yeah, one of the big things is that a lot of people say they think it's like fire or something like that, which is not, because insurance pays for that. One of the big things I would say, capital calls, one of the big ones, and of course foreclosure. I mean, those are obviously the worst. Capital call is basically when you ask investors to put in more money for the projects to kind of stay afloat. So capital, we never had one, but yeah, those are pretty bad. And of course, foreclosure is not good at all. And what you do is to mitigate it. The most important thing is to have the right leverage, right? So you don't over lever. You don't take, I would say, 80% of debt or something like that, because that's just silly. That's exactly what's happening with the people that purchased a few years ago, right? And especially floating debt right now, where all the rates went up, and you have 2.4 trillion coming due, and only 40% can refi, so 60% will fail. I mean, it's not good, but ultimately that's where people who have the money and resources will be very, very successful. So it's really important not to over-lever, and also the right strategy, because in this market cycle, you can use seller financing, you can use loan assumptions. Like, I'll give you an example. Previous projects that we've purchased, it was distressed seller. He needed money, but he had a great loan, 2.9% fixed agency debt. And we just bought it back in July, so 2 months ago. So we have 2.9% debt fixed until 2027. How awesome is that? So we use ways to purchase buildings. It works. It really does work. But think about it this way. Let's say the rate is 6 and it's cash flowing at 6. When it comes down to, let's say, mid-4s, and we refi and return some of the money back to the investors, how much more it's going to cash flow. Just think about the potential, because if you think about it, now is the safest time to buy, because we're in the bottom of the market cycle. The only way it's going to go is up, right? So it's only upside but you have to have some risk. Just don't listen to the news that much because it's going to mess you up.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential business titans, providing you with the insights to awaken to your full potential so you can get paid to be yourself, find true happiness, and manifest anything you desire.